The movie kicks off with a large cargo truck rumbling into Colombia. It clears the border after a cop checks everything and waves it through. A little later, the truck pulls up at a shady spot, and the driver hops out to open one of the wooden crates in the back. Out of it climbs a man named Chris. As soon as Chris steps out, the driver points a gun at him and demands money.
You've already been paid. In full.
Chris insists he already paid before getting in, but the driver tells him that was just for the ride. Now he needs to pay to stay alive. Suddenly, Chris spots another man sneaking up behind him with a gun. He quickly throws his bag at one of them, lunges at the other, and slashes his shoulder with a knife before landing a heavy punch that drops him to the ground. Chris then turns on the second man and beats him senseless, leaving both sprawled out cold on the pavement. Grabbing their car keys, he drives the truck off to another location. Meanwhile, we meet a menacing figure known only as the Demon, who is adjusting his mechanical arm, getting ready for something sinister. Back to Chris. He's keeping watch on a particular house. A car soon backs out of the driveway with a young girl inside. She's Alice, daughter of a gang leader named Finn, who lives there with her. Chris quietly follows the car, tracking Alice all the way to her skeel. Later that day, when Alice returns home, she and her father share a lighthearted moment. It's clear they're very close. That night, the man with the mechanical arm, the Demon, is sitting in a cafe long after closing. The owner nervously tells him to leave, but instead he grabs her arm and forces her to sit. As she trembles in fear, he calmly assembles his metal hand, extends a blade from it, and uses it to slice a piece of cake. He makes her eat it at knife point. Suddenly, a police cruiser pulls up and a female officer enters. The cafe owner explains the man was threatening her, but the cop simply tells him to leave since he hadn't physically hurt anyone. As the cop drives the owner home, the Demon suddenly appears and kills the officer, before turning to the terrified cafe owner and telling her to calm down or else. The next day, two of Finn's men drive Alice to school. Chris, disguised as a scruffy window cleaner, approaches their car. When they refuse to roll the window down, he smashes the side mirror. One guard steps out to confront him but gets knocked out instantly. Chris takes down the second man just as quickly. Alice, frightened by the chaos, bolts from the car and runs down the street. Chris chases her, cuts her off with the car, and captures her, shoving her into the trunk before speeding away. When Finn hears about the kidnapping, he goes ballistic. He beats one of his men nearly to death and orders his crew to find Alice no matter what. It's clear he'll burn the whole country down to get her back. Meanwhile, in the woods, Chris opens the trunk to check on Alice, only for her to sprint off into the forest.
I just want to talk to you, okay? Stop running! Hey!
He catches up to her and tries to calm her, showing her an old photo of himself with her parents.
Take a look at it.
He claims he was once close friends with Finn and that her mother asked him to take her far away. Alice doesn't believe a word and demands answers.
I will. Later. But right now, we need to get back inside that.
Chris hands her his gun and says if she doesn't trust him, he can shoot him. She fires once, missing,
Jesus Christ!
only then realizing he gave her a gun with just one bullet. During the tense drive, Alice forces Chris at gunpoint to take her home, but he warns her it's a long trip and she can't keep the gun up forever. When she insists she's not afraid to shoot, he challenges her, and she fires, only to find the gun is empty. Soon after, they stop for gas, and Chris tells her to stay quiet. Instead, Alice runs to a group of men begging for help.
Whatever the girl just said, don't believe her. She's crazy, loca.
A fight breaks out, and Chris takes down all of them with brutal precision. As Alice calls her father, Chris grabs her again and drives off before Finn can hear more than her screams. Inside the car, Alice yells at him, demanding to know who he really is.
I'm your father!
Chris finally tells her he's her father. She refuses to believe it, thinking it's another lie. Hungry and angry, she forces him to take her to a diner. Unbeknownst to them, they're being followed. At the same time, Finn orders his right-hand man Joey to track down the area where Alice last called from, but Joey secretly passes this information to the Demon, revealing there's a hidden connection between them. At the diner, Alice demands to finish eating before leaving. threatening to make a scene if he tries to stop her.
What's your name anyway?
Yeah, Chris.
Chris notices the chain around her neck, the same one he once gave her mother. He tells Alice her mother looked just like her. She asks where he's been all these years, and Chris admits he was in prison. Shocked, she accuses him of being a criminal. Chris sarcastically replies, "What, did Finn tell you he was a dentist?" He insists her mother never loved Finn, and that Finn is the reason she died. Alice, tearful and confused, reveals that her mother took her own life, but Chris believes Finn killed her. Their argument is interrupted when a gang bursts into the diner. They're bounty hunters after the reward money for Alice.
Tell him the safety's on.
Chris fights them all, but two manage to grab Alice and flee. When he finally defeats the others, Chris tortures one thug into revealing where they took her. At the gang hideout, Alice meets their leader, who promises to return her to Finn for a hefty payment. He even lets her call her dad. When Alice nervously asks Finn if he had anything to do with her mother's death, he angrily denies it. But when she mentions her kidnapper claims to be her real father, Finn loses control and smashes everything around him.
It seems we have a rival for you, Reward. Come on.
Meanwhile, the demon shows up at the gang hideout, killing everyone in his path. The gang leader hides Alice, thinking the demon wants her, but it's useless. The demon slaughters his way through, breaking weapons and bones alike. Alice sneaks out and knocks the gang boss out cold with a vase. When she looks up, she's horrified to see the demon standing among the corpses. She fires at him, but he charges at her. Before he reaches her, Chris bursts in and the two men engage in a brutal showdown. The demon's strength is monstrous, but Chris fights with skill and fury. The demon nearly kills him until Alice yells for him to stop. The creature turns towards her, and Chris rushes to tackle him. They both crash through a high window and fall. As they land, the gang boss regains consciousness and unloads his gun on them. Chris dives through broken glass to escape, waits for the boss to run out of bullets, and kills him. The demon gets up to finish Chris, but Alice drives a car straight at him, sending him flying. Chris and Alice flee the scene together. Later, we see them walking through a crowded flea market. Chris tells Alice to change her clothes so no one recognizes her. Once she's changed, she finally demands the truth. Chris reveals everything. Her mother was his wife, and Finn betrayed him, got him arrested, and stole both her and their daughter. He explains that he, her mother, and Finn once ran a crew that robbed banks. When he learned she was pregnant, he decided their next heist would be their last. They succeeded, but Finn framed him for stealing the cash, and Chris spent 15 years in prison because of it. Finn took the money, his wife, and his daughter. We soon learn that Chris never ratted anyone out, because if all three of them had gone to prison, there would have been no one left to raise Alice. She listens quietly to everything he says, but despite his honesty, she still refuses to believe a single word of it. Meanwhile, we cut to the demon, still alive and breathing. He's seen stitching up a deep wound on his head. Once he's done, he steps outside and spots a man on the road.
Hey, guys.
He asks politely for the man's car, but the guy mocks him and flips him off before stepping out to fight. Big mistake. The demon charges at him, slices off his ear, knocks him to the ground, and drives away with his car. Back to Alice and Chris, they're sitting together when a familiar song comes on. Alice starts singing along, and Chris tells her it's the same song her mother played at their wedding. He then points to the diamond chain around her neck, explaining that it once belonged to her mom. Diamonds, he says, are tough. They can break anything. He bought it for her mother because she was strong too, unbreakable. That's why he wants Alice to be just as tough. His words touch her deeply. Elsewhere, Finn watches everything unfold through his security cameras. When he spots the demon, he instantly realizes the creature is after his daughter. Panic sets in. He knows he's in serious trouble. Later that night, Chris and Alice look for a new car to escape in. Chris manages to unlock one, and they both get in. Alice notices a route drawn on a map leading straight to the airport. She refuses to leave her dad, school, and everything she knows. Even if Finn locked you up, she says, he still raised me, right? Chris snaps back, claiming Finn was the one who killed her mother. She argues there's no proof. Chris insists her mother visited him in jail and had planned to take Alice and run away from Finn, but she died that same month. It wasn't suicide, he says, it was murder. Trying to calm her down, Chris tells Alice he's taking her to live with her aunt. Alice feels hurt, realizing he's not trying to make up for all the lost years. Suddenly, the car's owner appears, and Chris steps out to deal with him. Alice takes advantage of the chaos. She jumps into the driver's seat and speeds away. Chris waves down another car for help, but his heart drops when he sees who's inside. The demon, driving straight toward Alice. Alice stops near a payphone and tries calling Finn, but before she can finish, the demon appears right behind her. Terrified, she runs into the street, pounding on strangers' doors for help, but no one opens up. She hides and grabs a metal pipe, ready to fight. When the demon corners her, she swings, but he easily disarms her. Smirking, he pulls an apple from his pocket and orders her to take a bite. Trembling, Alice does, then spits it right in his face before bolting. Hearing Chris shout her name, Alice rushes toward him, but the demon catches up, sparking a violent gunfight. Alice is trapped in the middle. The demon grabs her, threatening to kill her unless Chris drops his weapon. Chris complies to protect her. The demon ties Alice to a car, then turns to beat Chris mercilessly. Even after several punches, Chris refuses to break.
Who are you?
When asked who he is, he stays silent and curses the demon. Alice finally yells that Chris is her father. Shocked, the demon realizes she's not Finn's daughter and knocks Chris out cold. The next morning, Chris wakes up hanging by the neck, his body supported only by a car tire. Finn stands before him, ready to end his life. Chris pleads, saying he needs him to rescue Alice, but Finn coldly replies, "No, I don't," and kicks the tire away. He starts choking, but at the last second, Finn orders his men to cut him down. As soon as Chris gets up, he punches Finn for killing his wife. Finn's men beat him and drag him into their car to track down Alice. Suddenly, the demon calls, revealing the meeting spot for the trade. Alice in exchange for Finn's due. He also tells Finn to thank Joey for setting it all up. Finn realizes Joey betrayed him and without hesitation shoots him dead. Chris, furious, asks who the demon really is. Finn admits he once hired him for a job, but the guy went too far, so Finn tried to kill him. When they captured the demon, guards were assigned to watch him take his own life. But when Finn arrived, all the guards were dead, and the demon had escaped by cutting off his own hand. He's been hunting him ever since. Eventually, Finn and Chris reach the demon's hideout. Finn tells Chris to stay hidden and sneak in behind him, just like old times. As Finn enters, he discovers all his men dead and sees his daughter tied to a conveyor belt. The demon orders him to save her by chopping off her hands before she reaches the end. Finn rushes forward and sees what's waiting at the end, a massive metal grinder. Desperate, he tries to stop the machine, but nothing works. Meanwhile, the demon spots Chris sneaking around and charges at him. A brutal chase and fight break out. Chris battles hard to protect Alice, asking why the demon wants to hurt her when she's just a kid. The demon reveals the truth. Finn paid him to kill Chris's wife. He tortured her and got pleasure from it. Now he's back for revenge, planning to take Finn's daughter's hand or her life in return. Finn, overwhelmed with guilt, tries to follow the demon's orders and cut Alice's hand off, but he stops the moment her scream pierces his heart. He searches frantically for another way to save her. Chris, wounded and barely holding on, keeps fighting the seemingly indestructible demon. Chris eventually breaks free and races to Alice. He tries to stop the machine, but the demon stabs him repeatedly. In agony, Chris demands Finn confess the truth to Alice. Finn finally admits that he hired the demon to kill her mother because he was afraid she'd take Alice away. Horrified, Alice collapses in tears. The demon taunts them, saying the machine's control panel is on the ground floor, far too far to reach in time. Alice, sobbing, suddenly remembers what Chris told her about diamonds. She rips off her necklace and throws it into the grinder. Miraculously, the machine jams and stops. The demon lunges at Alice, but Chris, nearly dead, rises again to fight him. Finn rushes in too, and both men tumble over a ledge to their deaths. Alice runs to Chris's side, crying as he bleeds out. She pleads with him not to leave her, saying she has no one else left. But Chris goes silent. Alice breaks down completely. In the aftermath, we see Alice visiting a grave. It turns out to be her mother's. Chris stands beside her, telling her that her mom would be proud of the strong woman she's become. Alice hugs him tightly and, for the first time, calls him Dad. As the scene fades, we see the demon's body missing from where it fell beside Finn's, hinting that he might have truly been a demon after all. Or maybe, just maybe, there's a sequel on the way.